Beneath the burning Egyptian sun, where sand meets eternity, rises a monument that defies both time and reason. The Great Pyramid of Giza, 13 acres of precision-cut stone, more than 2 million blocks stacked into a mountain of mathematics. Some weigh 80 tons, quarried 500 miles away, yet aligned so perfectly that even lasers struggle to find a flaw. Its base is leveled within a single inch. Its sides face true north, not magnetic. With an accuracy of 0 quashem BVR, 0.05 degrees, something modern engineers achieve only with satellites, inside. Corridors wind into silence. Sealed chambers wait beyond reach. A hidden void large enough to hold a plane rests unexplored.
And we now have, with new tech, with scanning technology, it's now become apparent that there are many major voids within the Great Pyramid.
So how was it built? With copper tools and ropes, as the textbooks say? Or does the pyramid conceal the legacy of something older, greater, a civilization erased by flood and fire, whose message still hums within these stones? For 5,000 years, it has endured every empire, every explanation. Yet beneath its perfect geometry lingers the same unspoken challenge: who truly built the Great Pyramid, and what truth were they trying to preserve? For generations, we've accepted a single story that Pharaoh Khufu, ruler of Egypt's 4th dynasty, ordered the Great Pyramid built around 2500 BCE. 20,000 workers, armed with copper chisels and stone hammers, supposedly labored 20 years beneath the desert sun to raise this impossible mountain of stone, a triumph of endurance, vision, and human will, the very symbol of ancient Egypt. It's a beautiful story, ordered, logical, comforting. But what if it isn't true? Because the deeper we look, the more that tale begins to crumble. If this pyramid truly was Khufu's tomb, where's the proof? No hieroglyphs, no treasures, no funerary texts, no royal seal, only silent granite, cold, bare, and perfect. Even the only mention of Khufu, a red mark on a hidden block above the king's chamber, was discovered not in antiquity, but in 1837 by a British explorer working alone, under pressure to deliver results. No witnesses, no documentation, just one claim. Could it have been forged? If so, the entire foundation of Egypt's official narrative collapses. The world's greatest monument suddenly stands without builder, date, or purpose. If not Khufu, then who? The question refuses to die. It lingers in the cracks of the stone and the silence of the chambers, whispering that history as we know it is incomplete, and that the true story of Giza may reach far deeper, into a time before the pharaohs ever walked the earth. Roughly 12,800 years ago, something catastrophic happened. The earth emerged from the last ice age and then, almost instantly, plunged into chaos. Temperatures crashed, glaciers melted, oceans rose more than 400 feet, and a storm of fire swept across continents. Scientists call this epoch the Younger Dryas, but ancient myths remember it by another name, the Great Flood. Entire coastlines vanished. Cities, if any stood then, would have been erased beneath water and ash. In such a world, stone would be the only witness that could endure. Yet even stone weathers, crumbles, and hides its origins beneath the sediment of time. Could this cataclysm have wiped away a chapter of human civilization? Mainstream archaeology says no, the complex societies did not yet exist. But silence is not proof of absence. Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Imagine a culture so advanced that it mapped the stars, mastered the alignment of cardinal directions, and encoded cosmic mathematics in stone. Then imagine that civilization swallowed overnight by rising seas, leaving behind only fragments, half buried beneath desert and myth. It sounds impossible, but the Earth's scars tell a different story. From the Carolina Bays of North America to the black mats of Greenland, traces of sudden fire and impact debris point to a global disaster, a disaster powerful enough to erase all but the faintest echoes of what came before. And maybe, just maybe, one of those echoes is the Great Pyramid itself, a survivor from a forgotten epoch, preserved in the heart of Egypt's desert, waiting for us to remember who or what first raised it from the sands. If the Great Pyramid is a survivor from a forgotten epoch, then the desert should still bear its scars. And it does in the silent gaze of a creature older than kings. Right beside the Great Pyramid, half buried in sand and time, lies the Great Sphinx. For centuries, it has stared east toward the rising sun, as if guarding the memory of a world long drowned. Its face, eroded and scarred, carries the weight of epochs. But how old is it? Really? In the early 1990s, geologist Robert Schoch arrived at Giza with a question that would shake archaeology to its core. He wasn't studying myth, he was studying erosion. What he found was undeniable deep. Rounded channels carved not by wind or drifting sand, but by sustained rainfall, the kind of torrential rain Egypt hasn't seen since the end of the last ice age, around 10,500 BCE. If Schoch was right, the Sphinx wasn't carved 400 or 500 years ago under Pharaoh Khafre, as the textbooks claim. It was already ancient when the pyramids were young, built thousands of years earlier, when the Sahara was still green. But if that's true, who built it? Egyptologists dismiss the idea, insisting there's no evidence of a civilization advanced enough to shape such stone. Yet, as Graham Hancock reminds us, absence of proof is not proof of absence. The geology doesn't lie. Water erosion is water erosion. And the last time rain carved these channels, human history, as we know it, hadn't even begun. Could the Sphinx be the smoking gun, the weathered sentinel of a forgotten world, battered by the storms of the Younger Dryas, standing as the oldest structure ever shaped by human hands? If so, it forces us to reconsider everything: the timeline, the builders, the story itself. Because if the Sphinx predates Egypt, then so might the Great Pyramid. And suddenly, the mystery deepens. Look at the clues, Hancock whispers. The Earth remembers what we have forgotten. If geology gives us the first crack in the wall of official history, then astronomy may just tear the whole structure down. Because when we look at the Great Pyramid, not as a tomb, but as a cosmic instrument, a mirror of the heavens, the story begins to shift from mere engineering into something far deeper. At Giza, 3 pyramids rise from the desert floor. At first glance, their layout seems uneven. The smallest, the Pyramid of Menkaure, sits slightly offset to the side, breaking the perfect line. But when researchers overlaid that pattern onto the night sky, they discovered something astonishing: the pyramids align almost perfectly with the 3 stars of Orion's belt. And here's where it becomes even stranger if we track the movement of the stars backward through time, using modern astronomical software. The alignment doesn't match the sky of 2500 BCE, the era of Khufu. It matches 10500 BCE, the same date hinted at by the Sphinx's rain erosion. 2 separate lines of evidence, one written in stone, the other written in the stars, converging on a single, forgotten epoch. Coincidence or design? Because the anomalies don't stop there. The Great Pyramid is aligned to true north, not magnetic north, with a precision of 0.05 degrees. To achieve that level of accuracy, today requires satellites and laser-guided instruments. Yet this structure, supposedly built with ropes and copper tools, achieved it over 4,000 years ago. How? The ratios within its geometry echo cosmic constants. The height compared to the base encodes the value of p. The angle of its sides reflects the Earth's curvature. The perimeter divided by twice its height equals the length of a solar year in days. Too perfect, too deliberate, too much to be chanced. Coincidence after coincidence after coincidence until coincidence becomes the least believable explanation of all. It's as if the builders were embedding a message, a mathematical signature meant to outlast their own extinction, a message saying, we knew the stars, we understood the Earth, we built this to remember. So what if the Great Pyramid is not just a monument, but a map, a code, pointing us back to the sky, to a time before memory, when civilization itself may have begun? If the alignment of the stars reveals an ancient intelligence, then the engineering of the Great Pyramid exposes something even more unsettling: a level of technological mastery that defies everything we think we know about the ancient world. Its base, spanning 13 acres of bedrock, is leveled to within 1 inch across its entire surface, a precision that rivals today's laser-guided surveys, achieved over 4,500 years ago, or perhaps earlier. This feat required no steel tools or mechanized equipment. The original limestone casing formed a flawless, mirror-like shell, with joints so tight a razor blade couldn't fit between them. In the king's chamber, granite beams, some weighing 80 tons, form a ceiling of machine-like precision. Granite resists copper chisels, which dull rapidly, yet thousands of tons were shaped with surfaces flat to within thousandths of an inch. Some blocks bear spiral drill marks, suggestive of high-speed boring, a technique seemingly beyond ancient capabilities. This suggests not mere labor, but a sophisticated command of geometry and material science. Were the builders drawing on a lost technological tradition? These anomalies scale, accuracy, method point to a deliberate mastery that history does not record. Beyond its engineering, the Great Pyramid's physical relics raise unanswered questions. Granite blocks, some 80 tons, were quarried in Aswan, 500 miles south, then transported across the Nile and desert and lifted 150 feet into place. Modern cranes would strain under such loads, yet ropes and sleds are said to have sufficed. In 2017, muon scanning detected a massive void above the Grand Gallery, large enough to house an airliner, yet it remains sealed and unexplained. The King's Chamber holds a single granite coffer, empty, unmarked, lacking any trace of funerary purpose. Unlike other pharaohs' tombs, adorned with hieroglyphs and offerings, this space is stark, silent, its intent unclear. If not a tomb, what was its function? A repository for knowledge, a beacon for future generations. The absence of ritual markers suggests the pyramid was built to preserve something greater than a king's legacy, a purpose etched in its very stones. When faced with evidence that refuses to fit the official narrative, the impossible precision, the astronomical alignment, the geological scars, we are left with two possibilities. Both are extraordinary. Both rewrite everything we think we know about human history. The first, that an ancient civilization of humans, long before Egypt, rose to an advanced state of knowledge, mastering architecture, mathematics, and celestial science thousands of years ahead of their time. They may have mapped the stars, understood the movement of the earth, and passed down their wisdom in monuments built to endure the ages. And then, as the Younger Dryas cataclysm swept across the planet, they were wiped away, their cities drowned, their culture forgotten. Only the strongest markers of their existence survived: megaliths, pyramids, and the myths of gods descending from the sky. The second theory reaches further still. Some suggest the knowledge was given that the builders of Giza were not the inventors of these techniques, but the inheritors of something not entirely of this world. Myths from every corner of the globe tell of teachers who came from the heavens, the shining ones, the serpent gods, the watchers. In Egypt, they were called the Necheru. In Sumer, the Anunnaki. Across Mesoamerica, Quetzalcoatl, the plumed serpent, who brought the gift of civilization after the Great Flood. Could these legends be distorted memories of real encounters, the faint recollection of beings who guided the survivors of a destroyed world to the ancients? They appeared as gods. To us, they might appear as something else entirely. Even stranger, the knowledge encoded in the Great Pyramid, the mathematics of Earth's dimensions, the constant of Pi, the alignment to Orion mirrors patterns found in sites oceans apart: Teotihuacan in Mexico, Angkor in Cambodia, Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, separated by continents and millennia, yet bound by the same geometry, the same obsession with the stars. Coincidence? Or a shared inheritance? The fingerprints of a single lost source, whether human or something beyond. The builders of Giza left behind a legacy that transcends myth. They wanted to be remembered. They wanted us to look up, because every alignment, every measurement, every echo of the heavens carved in stone seems to whisper one message: we were here before you and we knew. Or across cultures, from Egypt's sands to Mesopotamia's rivers, from Andean peaks to Pacific shores, myths tell of a great flood, a time of fire and darkness, and celestial guides leading survivors through ruin. Sumer's deluge, the Maya's flood of creation, Noah's Ark. These stories converge on a cataclysm 12,800 years ago, the Younger Dryas, when seas surged and civilizations vanished. Are these tales mere fables, or history veiled in myth? The Great Pyramid, the Sphinx, their precise alignment with Orion, could they be relics of a lost era, built by survivors to preserve their legacy? These stones, enduring flood and time, suggest a civilization that mastered knowledge before disaster struck. The pyramid may not be a tomb, but a time capsule. Its geometry and stars a message carved for eternity. Knowledge endures, even when empires fall. Was Khufu its architect, or merely its guardian, inheriting a monument from a deeper past? The clues: erosion, mathematics, celestial precision challenge our history. They beckon us to question: is Giza the echo of a forgotten world? Share your thoughts. Join us to unravel the truths still buried in the sands.